Good day to you, my viewer. Thank you so much for choosing UBC, the national broadcaster, to inspire you this lovely day. It is the 19th day of June 2022. Coming to you live from Broadcast House, Nile Avenue. My name is Sandra Kaude, and this is our weekly news roundup. Now straight into our details for the day. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni mid this week applauded the UPDF for effectively applying the combined arms doctrine that was crucial for the success of Operation Shuja, that is in Ituri, DR Congo. Now Museveni was speaking to men and women of the Mountain Division at their headquarters in Mohoti, Kabarole district.
Uganda People's Defense Forces UPDF and Armed Forces of Democratic Republic of Congo FRDC launched a joint operation against ADF in eastern Congo on November 30th, 2021 with bombardment on 4 major camps. Since then, the two forces have captured several camps and secured major routes in eastern Congo, enabling ground battle teams to pursue the ADF rebels who had fled to the thick forests. Operation Suja officers from the Armored Brigade, Artillery, Air Force, Communication in Mountain Division converged at Mohoti Barracks in Kabarole district to meet the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. The Chief of Defense Forces, General Wilson Mbasu Mbadi, briefed the President about the progress of the ongoing Operation Suja aimed at pacifying eastern Congo.
The preliminary aim for which Suja was mooted has been really achieved, and that was to destroy the ADF main camps so that we can deny them freedom of action.
Mbadi said the ongoing road construction project on Kasindi, Beni, Butembo, Bonagana, Rushuru facilitate the movement of troops and other strategic decisions made between the forces of the two countries. To avoid back and forth attacks between the ADF rebels, President Museveni has advised the UPDF to intensify Operation Suja security mechanism to avoid further insurgents in areas already secured by the joint forces.
The Mountain Division is a specialized force. Because we are fighting in a terrain which is very steep, but also very cold, very cold. So the soldiers must be able to overcome, and rainy, sometimes it's raining all the time. So the Mountain Division must be prepared differently and clothed differently. Warm suits, waterproof. Those are very, very crucial.
He said that the capacity of UPDF troops in Operation Suja has been able to make maximum damage on the enemy at minimum cost.
To know that as long as I have bullets and I use the terrain properly and I'm coordinating with my people in a squad, in a section, in a platoon, no enemy will remove me from here. I will only go from here on orders, because the commanders have ordered me to go, but not because the enemy has frightened me. This is the confidence I want.
The Commander-in-Chief said the military operation in eastern Congo is very crucial for peace and stability of both countries. He applauded the Air Force's reconnaissance role, which he said enabled the UPDF to inflict heavy losses on the ADF rebels on the first day of the operation. The Air Force and long-range artillery was later followed by the advancement of the infantry through Busunga, Kamango, Mukakati to River Semriki. The Mountain Division Commander Major General Kayanja Mohanga assured the Commander-in-Chief that UPDF remain committed towards implementing the presidential strategic directives to ensure there is peace and stability in eastern Congo.
Our operation objective is to destroy ADF rebel camps, stroke groups in eastern DRC. Our military operational end state is to degrade the ADF capacity.
Operation Suja is being implemented following a memorandum of understanding between the government of Uganda and DRC to conduct a joint operation for eradication of ADF in eastern Congo. Haruna Mutesa Asira, UBC.
Finance Minister Matia Kasaija early this week presented a 48.1 trillion shillings national budget for the forthcoming financial year. President Yoweri Museveni, who is the de facto finance minister, acknowledged economic progress made over the years.
By 11 a.m., political and technical leaders entered Kololo ceremonial grounds, from members of parliament to permanent secretaries. Ministers and heads of agencies were here to witness the reading of the national budget. The colorful arrival of the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, and her deputy, Thomas Taibwa, was just in time for the day's scheduled event. The triumphant entry of the head of state was timely for the event that leaders and the country anxiously waited.
As we start the second session of this parliament, we shall dedicate the first meeting to consider bills.
And then came the real budget reading, with Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Matia Kasaija, doing what he does best.
The agriculture sector is expected to grow by 4.3%, largely as a result of growth in food and cash crop production, livestock, as well as recovery in fishing. This is the same rate at which the agriculture sector grew last year. The sector contributed 24.1% to the total economic output.
In the budget were various allocations. Prominent among them was security, taking about 3.9 trillion shillings, 381 billion for judiciary, and agriculture taking over 560 billion Uganda shillings.
The three broad objectives of the strategies are: 1, sustaining peace, security, and stability, as well as macroeconomic stability, as key foundations for recovery, growth, and socio-economic transformation. 3, mitigation of the COVID-19 impact on business activity, livelihoods, and overall economy. 3, speeding up socio-economic transformation by repurposing the budget towards wealth and job creation, as well as other impactful investments.
With agro-industrialization also given priority, President Yoweri Museveni called for reduction in rain-fed agriculture, emphasizing the need for irrigation.
As long as Uganda is producing enough food, there is no problem we cannot solve. But the danger to the food is number one, some laziness. This 39% of the homes whom want to, under parish model, to say, please join the money economy and produce for the stomach and for the pocket. But the other danger can be lack of rain or unreliable rain. So that's why in our budgeting, there is now something about irrigation. But in the future budgets, I would like us to do more for the irrigation.
He also decried low education levels in some parts of the country, with emphasis on Karamoja, whose dropout rate he cited as high.
The primary 7 completion rate in the whole of Uganda apparently is 38%. The children who go into the primary school and finish P7 are only 38 out of 100, which means that 62 go back to the village. They don't finish P7. And in the case of Karamoja, we found it was only 6 children out of 100 who finished primary 7.
This was, however, not enough for him not to acknowledge strides made in the road sector, with a pledge for more of such economic infrastructures.
I think the real answer to expensive petroleum is rail transport. If we repair our railway to Pakwach, like the minister is saying, and we transport many of the things on the railway, then the demand for fuel, for petrol will go down, and diesel, at least for cargo. And later on with Kasese, that is the real answer to the problem of high petroleum prices.
Members of Parliament and other dignitaries were equally impressed.
One thing I've picked, which was so good for me, is reduction or waiving off VAT on some of the items. For instance, these items which are used by people with disabilities.
The President was emphasizing that as all these other challenges are happening, especially on essential commodities, we must make sure we fight hard to protect the land and the wetlands, that we don't lose out food. Because food now remains the most crucial product in the whole world.
Growing of coffee for commercial and value addition on coffee in Uganda. So this budget is really one of the budgets that Ugandans will be able to secure their future through.
However, some allocations to the agricultural sector seem to call for more.
The climate change has affected this year's production. And if we are not going to budget well for Ministry of Agriculture, with that little money, which is shared with the parish development model, I am worried that the country is going to be doomed into famine.
But the agriculture sector funding has gone down.
The seeing of His Excellency the President.
But I think the agro-industrialization has taken root, and other priority areas.
Successfully delivered.
The 2022 to 2023 budget was presented on the theme, full monetization of Uganda's economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, expanding and broadening services, digital transformation, and market access. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Still on the same conversation, the 48.1 trillion shilling budget to be implemented from 1st July 2022 is seen as a pro-recovery budget by analysts. But an appeal is made for effective implementation for it to live to its expectations. Now, according to Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group, the financial year 2020 to 2023 is a pro-people sense. It has not introduced new taxes, but emphasizes broadening the tax base.
Analysts have praised the budget for the financial year 2022-2023 for being recovery-oriented.
I think for new taxes, the first thing is that we really engage the government on taxes. One, they have not brought new taxes. Two, they have not increased the taxes. The only thing they have done is to streamline administration. Those who have not been paying are supposed now to pay. If you have been having beverages really, for the last 5 years, you have not been in taxation bracket. It's high time that you're in tax bracket because now you have set up your system properly, you are making profits, so it's high time you also contribute to national development.
According to Julius Mukunda, the Executive Director, Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group, the 48.1 trillion shillings national budget can boost recovery from the adverse effects of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Look, especially in this financial year budget, one of our key elements was that we need to spend more money on social sector. And for the first time, we are seeing that human capital development is taking the first priority on the national budget. That is 28%, which is very good. Secondly, is that we want the budget to be pro-poor. And for the first time, we are seeing government spending close to 1 trillion Ugandan shillings on the parish development model. For the first time, an ordinary person is sharing directly from the national cake. not indirectly in security, no, directly, that there is 100 million Ugandan shillings that is going to be removed from the national budget, and it goes directly to the parish, for the parish to be able to spend it in the way they want.
The national budget has put more emphasis on agro-industrialization and uplifting household incomes with an objective of fostering equitable growth and development.
The budget for the next financial year presents a set of strategic choices and the government's commitment to stimulate economic recovery, enhance productivity and competitiveness of enterprises, and most importantly, wealth creation and jobs for the ordinary Ugandans.
This 39% of the homes whom want to, under parish model, to say, please join the money economy and produce for the stomach and for the pocket. But the other danger can be lack of rain or unreliable rain. So that's why in our budgeting, there is now something about irrigation, but in the future budgets, I would like us to do more for the irrigation.
As per the key priorities, education was allocated 4.14 trillion shillings, peace and security 3.9 trillion shillings, health 3.7 trillion, agro-industrialization 1.4 trillion, agriculture 1.14 trillion shillings, and the parish development model 1 trillion and 59 billion shillings.
And lastly, how will you call the budget for the year 2022-2023? Because sometimes you can call it a poor man's budget, you can call it a revival budget or whatever. So basically, how will you term this one?
For me, this budget really is a recovery budget. To support businesses to recover, individuals to recover, to be able to provide, to ensure that there is enough credit in the system, so that at least we have an opportunity to sustain the economy, increase the production, sell, make profits.
The Finance Minister, Matia Kasaija, committed to limiting borrowing and supplementary budgets, enhance human capital development, limit corruption, and foster knowledge transfer in order to accelerate social and economic development. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Now, another developing stories that we witnessed during the week, we saw hundreds of Congolese refugees stranded at Bunagana borders at the M23 rebels blocked them from crossing back to DR Congo from Uganda. Now, the refugees who first crossed to Uganda during gunfire exchange, that is between Congolese forces and M23 fighters, claim that the living conditions in the transit center at Nakabande in Chisoro district are appalling. The refugees have now taken shelter and the people's shops at Bunagana town on the Ugandan side since they can't go anywhere.
The overwhelming number of refugees along the road is what fascinates one while driving from Kisoro town to Bunagana border. These are refugees who first crossed to Uganda on Monday when the M23 rebels took over Bunagana town on DR Congo side. But they now claim the living conditions in the transit center at Nakabande in Kisoro districts are poor and they don't have basic needs.
Nagabuze namazi ntago nisabuni ntago none nakora iki hano
ucyonza franka zumeno ko batashaka abantu bariyo twe kwari kwaragenye kabandi twagiye mbere none abana bose bandwariye tani ikintu cyo mfite cyo kubagurira ibinini kugenda ngere mu rugo ndebo twakanimba twarumye ndukorere mvuza abana mbe mu rugo.
The refugees wanted to cross back to Congo and access food and basic needs, but they have now been blocked by the M23 rebels at the border who are still in control of Bunagana town in Congo.
Umugore wanje asigarayo. Asigayeyo ngeziranye ko bande inzara iranjuye tatahutse n'umugore wanje aririye.
The refugees are now faced with water and food crisis as they get stranded at the Bunagana Town Council on Ugandan side.
Abako government yadufasha ikaduhereza amazi. Turi kuja mu Kongo twagera mu Kongo aba wihanganye twagerayo kugira ngo wanyuze mu ishyamba gurusabo ko wagera mu Kongo ubona amazi.
Are these guys from Congo?
Most of the youthful refugees are seen loitering in the streets of Bunagana, while others have taken shelter under the verandas of the buildings in town. Uganda Red Cross Operations Team leader in the DRC refugee response says famine and the risks associated with poor hygiene will escalate if the crisis in the DRC continues.
The more we get the population, the more, of course, needs increase. But we are very glad that always partners are keeping on resource mobilizing, they are mobilizing resources to add to whatever is being done here. Of course, we are aware that should this situation continue, we shall be having a stretch of needs, and more especially needs of resources and funding to support the gaps that will be happening.
The refugee crisis started on Monday this week when the M23 rebels fighting the DR Congo government took over Bunagana town in DRC. Philip Aguta, UBC News in Bunagana town at Uganda-DRC border.
Now, the 3 ADF suspects have been arrested for radicalizing juveniles into terrorism. These have been operating in a 13-feet bunker in Kasanal-Wero. The suspects are linked to the bombings carried out in Kampala last year.
Security agencies have arrested 3 suspected terrorists who have been operating a training facility where juveniles were being recruited to carry out terror activities in Kasanal-Wero PWD zone. It is alleged that this facility with rentals, a school and storage room, has been out of bounds to intruders, giving room for suspicious operations allegedly by ADF allies.
Would give a benefit of doubt, no gamba, no security yasoseyo, babitaddeyo. But what about the kid? Omwana agambye nti amanyi okujja mu magazine n'agizaamu. I'm defeated.
We had some leaders in the area got concerned when it was realized that nobody enters this place, nobody gets out. That's unusual for a community.
One of the suspects is linked to the Parliamentary Avenue and Central Police Station bombings that killed scores.
Akuba Kawanda should be remembered. She was arrested and given amnesty. Now he has abused the amnesty by again going back to the activities he was doing. So, fortunately, given intelligence, we were able to capture him with Kabonge at Kabonge's home. Others have been coming, entering here, do whatever they do, they go. Nobody knows what they were doing. So we still have others to harvest.
The training facility is along the main road and it is hard to suspect any illegal activity. It is a 30-feet underground bunker where pupils have been training in weapon assembling and handling and can accommodate roughly 100 pupils.
This is their marks fits. It is a very big hall.
Several exhibits have been recovered from the crime scene, most of which were being used to assemble improvised explosive devices.
This is what I was telling you about. It is suspected to be amorphous powder. This one, when you crush it, it will give you fine powder. They are very explosive. These are explosive powder.
There is a room where there was gun oil. I don't know if they have seen it exactly. Now, a civilian who is doing welding, what are you doing with gun oil?
You can see it is a gun. Just get you in the vehicle. You won't even hear the sound. You get? This is a silencer. This you're seeing, silencer.
Intelligence has also revealed the foiled plan of the suspects.
He had already bought a car. They were assembling, in the process of assembling a bomb, which would be taken by that car to explode in a public place.
It is at the heat of this operation that the LC systems need to be reawakened to wipe out bad elements in society.
We would like to encourage leaders to always know who is in the area. What does he do? There are certain activities that provoke suspicion.
The suspects are now in the hands of the Joint Anti-Terrorism. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News in Kasanal-Wero.
In more developments of the week, the security forces in Karamoja this week said they have strategically deployed in all hotspots in the region to restore peace in all corners of Karamoja. Security actors said the situation is not out of hand, as portrayed on social media platforms.
Has become a murder hotspot where road ambushes are reportedly laid on a daily basis. An elder and an opinion leader in Moroto district, Jackson Angera Adome, recently survived an attack by warriors at his home in Moroto. Thanked security for the relative peace.
How do these fellows now manage to penetrate deep into town and begin terrorizing? I was a victim on Saturday. Yes, there are thieves still there.
The situation is calm. Although now with the operations, the young men in the villages are on run. But as leaders, we still come in, we still say let operation continue.
Adome explains the cause of insecurity in Kotido.
There are two camps that are now divided in Kotido. There are two groups. There are groups of the present leaders from LC 1 up to whichever level, whether MPs or what. All those leaders, that is the working class. And then there is a group who are not working, who are not either politicians, who are not in leadership at all. So the two groups are now parallel. This is what I seem to be also analyzing as things come. The other group, and the other group, they are saying the people who are destroying us. That's why we are being tortured. That's why we are being what? Are the leaders.
Previous incidences are isolated cases that are really being managed well, and we are seeing that Kotido, as a single district, the situation is never out of hand. We're in charge. We are stemming up simultaneous operations to deal with the criminal elements in the Kotido district.
Security officers say anything they are doing is guided by law, though area leaders say the mode of operation by security forces is not good.
The victims, sorry, as long as you continue with that kind of approach, to be honest with you, they will not go far. Instead, they are trying to incite Karamoja to begin arming themselves. This is my own personal opinion as an elder. Because what I'm now getting, people are now saying, what is the use? Whether you have the gun, whether you don't have the gun, whether you're a criminal or whether you are not a criminal, whether you're a peaceful person, as long as you are good, you are given the same treatment.
These allegations which people bring in order to discredit the operation.
The chairperson, Karamoja Reformed Warrior Group, John Robert Akeki Adupa, wants security forces to stop sending leaders to collect guns of the suspects because it puts their lives at risk.
Then later, again, these people turn against you, like you are the one who is bringing the army to them. So we now as leaders, we need any person arrested and talks of having a gun, the army has to escort that person up to where he has put his gun.
Angera says that if the situation in Kotido is not contained, it will spread to other districts.
The rest of the districts will follow. That fire happening in Kotido will even reach here. It will reach to every corner in Karamoja.
Elders in Karamoja want to meet with President Museveni to discuss the Karamoja problem. Since Operation Usalama kwa Wote started in July last year, over 300 guns have been recovered. Sudat Kaye, Moreniga, UBC News.
Uganda People's Defense Forces, UPDF, is set for a general and a special recruitment exercise covering about 10,000 Ugandans into the army. The Chief of Training and Recruitment in the UPDF, Brigadier General Matthew Gurume, this week announced the recruitment exercise at the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs in Mbuya.
The general and special recruitment exercise of 10,000 recruits targets Ugandans ready to serve in the regular, professional, and specialized units.
We are here talking about LDP, local defense personnel recruitment. And when is it going to take place? It's going to take place from 18th of June to the 4th of July. It's going to be in this, the recruitment is going to be in two forms. We're going to have the general recruitment and then special recruitment. The general recruitment will start from the 18th through to the 4th, 18th of June through to the 4th, Saturday 18th of June through to the 4th of July. Now we are going to have special recruitment. The special recruitment will be for the Air Force, drivers and mechanics, and medical personnel.
Requirements for joining the army require a candidate to be a Ugandan citizen between 18 to 30 years with a national identity card.
Each candidate should come with his or her national identification. We believe every Ugandan now has been received, even those who are in the schools have. The other element I wanted to emphasize also, you must be in good health. You skipped that one. You must be in good health, you must be medically fit, and ready to undergo medical test. Please, if you know you have chronic diseases, don't waste your time. If you know you have your HIV, we sympathize with you, but please don't come, because we don't want to kill you. Therefore, it's important that you come prepared to undergo medical test.
Meanwhile, 600 recruits in Air Force will be at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds on 30th June to 1st July. The recruitment of energetic Ugandans who meet the standards is prescribed in Articles 51 and 52 of 2005 UPDF Act. Mutesa Sira Haruna, UBC News.
In more activities, Vice President Jessica Alupo this week underscored the need for Uganda and development partners to drum up efforts so as to consolidate the gains made as regards to the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, according to Jessica Alupo, with the recent elevation to the middle income status, it is a sign that Uganda has made progress in ensuring holistic attainment of the SDGs. The Vice President was presiding over a closing ceremony of the first ever annual Sustainable Development Goals Conference held in Kampala this week.
Uganda has successfully held a first ever annual Sustainable Development Goals Conference, bringing together participants from both government and non-government organizations to validate the progress of SDGs. Session after session, participants discussed the need to invest more efforts in data collection and proper segmentation of the data to inform effective usage to propel socio-economic transformation of communities.
Numbers. It is now an era of dealing with the numbers. Why should we send uniform amount of money to all parishes that have different sizes in population, different sizes of land holdings, and we are sending it to them to do agriculture, even those in urban areas? Where is the data to guide the people who are taking this decision? But we are saying uniform. Uniform means that those who are already above the poverty line are going to jump higher than these others as they try to come out of poverty, causing more income inequalities, and that disrupts also the community.
Our UBOS team to include the data on refugees in our national data, in our local data, in the data of our parishes. So this parish development model and all these interventions will capture the data of refugees.
In response, the Executive Director of Uganda Bureau of Statistics, Dr. Chris Mukiza, explained that as per their mandate, the institution is doing its best.
What we have tried to do is to ensure that every district develops a strategic plan for statistics that details how they are going to address that and a coordinated approach of statistical production and dissemination.
So what we call the citizen-generated data is something that we're going to scale up over the next few years.
To close the meeting was the Vice President of Uganda, Jessica Alupo.
The 2022 annual SDG Progress Report, which has been produced by the Office of the Prime Minister, coordinated by the SDG Secretariat, and discussed during the past 2 days, is an important government report card. The findings in the report show that significant progress have been made in the attainment of the several SDGs. And I would like to request the Honorable Kasule Lumumba, my sister, to transform what she has just been presenting to us here into a cabinet memo.
Alupo also challenged Ugandans to continue with innovations to respond to the new challenges that have emerged from the harsh times of COVID-19 pandemic. The 2-day annual Sustainable Development Goals Conference was held under the theme Building Effective Models to Accelerate the SDGs in the Post-COVID-19 Era. Dorcas Kimono, UBC News.
Now, the leader of opposition in Parliament, Mathias Mpuga, this week asked National Unity Platform's MPs who received the alleged 40 million Uganda shillings cash to return it to the giver. His communication comes after a closed meeting with all National Unity Platform, where all the members were tasked to observe party rules.
That's why I asked, why wouldn't the members go to IGG?
The Director Communication at Parliament, Chris Obore, on Wednesday challenged all National Unity Platform members of Parliament who allege to have received the 40 million bribe to either provide evidence or report to IGG for investigations. In his letter dated 15th, Chris Obore blamed National Unity Platform MPs for trying to tarnish the image and leadership of Parliament for their selfish interests.
Of course, I'm aware that there is also politics of trying to smear the current leadership at Parliament.
It is too sad that the person that gave out this money is today pretending that she did not give out this money. Because they have fear in them, we are not going to carry their cross.
The news about the 40 million bonanza spread like wildfire by members of the opposition belonging to the National Unity Platform.
All of them tell us, look, you know, they had heard about gratuity and all of that, and so they imagined this was gratuity. But we made it succinctly clear to them that, look, any money that does not come on your account is problematic money.
We established in the meeting that there are a few of our members who got communication about gratuity. You know that majority of the members of NUP are new members. They are aware of gratuity money, and some of them were hoodwinked.
In a closed meeting convened by the leader of opposition, Mathias Mpuga, a communication was made to all party members to abide and observe party rules.
I wanted them to understand it, that they do not have a position different from what the party has.
All MPs who by any chance received or picked the money in question against the stipulated rules have been asked to return it with immediate effect or face the outcome.
Anybody received this money, the only thing they can do is to return it wherever they picked it.
Susan Naung and Gloria Guitabinji reporting for UBC TV.
Well, we still have more updates on what transpired during the entire whole week. But for now, we take a very short break. When I return, I'll give you the latest from the world of business.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello, this is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Congratulations, congratulations. Oh, one good day.
Good day? But I haven't entered any competition.
Owadechi, since you use your phone every day, we have randomly selected you as one of our loyal customers, and you have won a brand new pickup.
Hey, so how do I get this pickup?
The pickup is in Namave. All we have to do is quickly bring it to you. You know, we are delivering many of them. So, just send us 100K for fuel via mobile money, and we'll bring it to you.
But Chief, I'm in no hurry to receive it. Namambe is just here. Keep it at your warehouse, give me directions, and I will get time to pick it up.
Vow nawe. If you don't have money, just say.
Tonfera, never send money to strangers. Winners of competitions are contacted through official channels and are never asked to pay for anything. Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tofera, refrain from unnecessary engagements with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by UCC, MTN, Airtel, Bank of Uganda, and NPSP Association.
Football packages, great entertainment, sports, local content, telenovela, the movies. There is something for everybody. Everybody, Go TV. This is where great stories live.
Get the best entertainment for any budget. With GoTV, you will have great entertainment for as little as 13,000 Ugandan shillings per month. GoTV, great stories. Zidiwano. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Even with my grandson, a doctor at my side, I struggled to get the help I needed. But he saw something that day. He began to work day and night. He wouldn't quit, even when people said no. He wouldn't stop fighting. He knew something had to change, and his vision was bigger than anyone could imagine. He made it possible to receive quality medical services anywhere in Uganda by simply using a phone.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
We bring you a fresh, well-researched program to help you identify opportunities for investment, job creation, growing your entrepreneurial skills, wealth creation, and social transformation. Create wealth, transform livelihoods. Every week, we showcase opportunities for creating new products and services. Excellence in innovation, the passion and drive to succeed, and the right mindset to grow your business. Create wealth, transform livelihoods. Brought to you by Operation Wealth Creation.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Glad to know you're still with us. Thanks so much for staying. If you just joined us, you're watching the weekly roundup, giving you activities that transpired during the week. Now, onto the business updates that we saw during the week. There, as is the norm in East African community, the member states present their regional budgets in June every year. Now, this week we take keen interest on the priorities given by the various member states, that is starting from the largest public spending economy to the least.
In Congo, you have more than 100 militias operating inside Congo.
For now close to 2 decades, the Democratic Republic of Congo has endured repeated, organized and unresolved internal fightings.
They were there before Tshisekedi, they were there before Kabila Jr., they were there before Kabila Senior. So they have been part of the border politics of Congo. Certainly, the DRC army alone cannot flush them out.
Although the current government has intimated that some neighbors are contributing to its insecurity, the regional security analyst Sam Kazuwe, however, differs from that talk.
The source of tension in Congo is much bigger than the regional tensions we have observed and paid attention to. The owners of capital internationally benefit from the conflict in Congo. The crisis entrepreneurs at the global stage benefit from this conflict.
On Wednesday 15th this month, the Kenyan president, who is the current chair of the East African Community, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, issued an official statement highlighting how the bloc tends to assist its neighbor.
Declaration by President Uhuru Kenyatta is commendable, but it's not the magic bullet. However, it can be part of the solution.
Uhuru's communique calls for cessation of hostilities by all parties.
In April, Congo officially became part of the EAC. We are just waiting now for the formalities of their instrument of ratification. But that is why now the president, the head of the East African Community, can now direct the standby force to move into a country of the. Before they came, it would be difficult for the president of Kenya to say you go to DRC. But now, because they are part of us, he's able to say, move standby force, go to Ituri, go to North Kivu. So I think we are going to help them through that. And of course, we are going to continue engaging to find a amicable solution.
His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta also announced that the East African Standby Joint Force is yet to be deployed in DRC.
So the declaration by President Kenyatta would help to reduce this mistrust, because when you talk about the East African Standby Brigade, it would essentially mean that all the member states are obligated to contribute in various ways. Some can contribute by sending troops, others financially, others by providing intelligence, but the participation of all would help to reduce the mistrust.
The letter further mapped out the areas of Ituri, North Kivu and South Kivu provinces as weapons-free zone.
It doesn't mean that the police and the national armies are not going to have weapons, because they are supposed to have them. But non-state actors should not have weapons. They are either going to be forced to surrender, to be co-opted, as it has happened in the past severally, or they will be forced out of the region.
The 15th June statement also summoned all top army regional commanders for a crisis meeting happening over the weekend in Nairobi, Kenya.
The challenge is in defining clearly the scope of these joint missions, because we know you're talking about actors that have competed in this region. And if that competition is not well managed, they might end up clashing.
With the UPDF already deployed in DRC to comb out the ADF extremists, this tweet by Uganda's Land Forces Commander, Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, confirmed that Uganda has halted its Operation Shuja mission in DRC for a meantime. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Uganda's judicial system was this week criticized for passing judgments without properly understanding the implications of their judgment on the whole financial landscape. Now, Stephen Kaboyo, an economist and the managing director, that is Alpha Capital Partners, says the judgments are hampering Uganda's quest to attract significant international capital.
Uganda must balance its priorities during these uncertain times. The appeal is made against the backdrop of rising costs of debt, an economy recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic, a weakening shilling, and rising costs of goods.
The war between Russia and Ukraine, and if you like, the European Union and America, is so impactful on Uganda that our budget is so badly influenced. Now, if you don't take this into account, your budget is doomed.
Payments of debts are increasingly taking a significant share of the government revenues. With no new taxes introduced, the plan to achieve sustainable growth is premised on significant revenue growth.
Taxes have remained flat. There are no adjustments to any of the taxes. And I think that is a positive outcome, because what you're trying to do is stimulate economic recovery. So the fact that taxes this year have remained flat compared to the previous year is a positive development. From an industry perspective, seeing money being invested in infrastructure development, I think that is a positive development. The discussion around dismantling domestic debt, I think that is a positive development, because as government dismantles domestic debt, they stimulate activity in terms of growing the local businesses that supply various products and services to the government. So those are some of the positive outcomes that are coming through that I think from a banking sector perspective we should embrace.
The tax base expansion, simplification of the tax process, and providing of support for investors under financial duress is emphasized.
Judgments throw a lot of dark paint on Uganda as a destination to attract international capital. So that is very, very critical. Perhaps going forward, we need a workshop, a seminar, and take these judges through what the implication of their judgments are. Because really, for anybody today, when you go to sell Uganda, say we have a hospitality project here that needs $5 million for investment. Said, look, how can we come there when we're not protected? Tomorrow somebody is going to deny that he took the loan, and the courts are saying, injunction, don't move any further.
How government will balance between revenue mobilization, expenditure rationalization, public debt management, and other externalities will be key in achieving the economic growth projected. Government has projected a GDP growth rate of 6% in 2023.
Now more from the business world. 15 banks this week signed the Trade Clear platform to boost interbank trade within the country. Some of the banks that have joined the platform include Standard Chartered Bank, Stanbic Bank, Centenary Bank, ABSA, Housing Finance, ABC Capital, Finance Trust Bank, DFCU and Exim Bank. The onboarding of the banks is a climax to a memorandum of understanding between Bank of Uganda signed with Front Clear in 2019 to boost local money markets in Uganda. The Ugandan interbank market has been limited to the top players because they lacked the risk appetite to deal with smaller banks. This in turn affected the level of credit the smaller banks could extend to their customers.
So by virtue of us getting into the whole Trade Clear platform, to give us an avenue to have bigger volumes, take on the bigger transactions, and also trade with the bigger banks, international banks, and this will help us open up to the whole international markets in terms of what we term financial market.
Trade Clear Uganda is expected to dislodge the logjam of market segmentation in the interbank money market. This umbrella guarantee facility will cover the risk of interbank defaults. If a borrowing bank fails to pay the lender in a secure transaction, Front Clear will stand ready to pay back the funds advanced by the lender.
This allows the banks to be able to trade with one another more deeply than what they do today, and it has the benefits of making sure that the financial markets in Uganda are more inclusive and more deeper, and that ultimately leads to improved monetary policy, transmission, better pricing of liquidity, and ultimately better funding and more capabilities into the real economy.
For long, some players in the local interbank money market have been relegated to fishing in shallow waters, while others hauled in the big catches from the deep waters. The existence of counterparty credit limits, which were set at zero in some cases, has constrained the fluid flow of liquidity among banks.
No one bank that can do it all on their own. So it's important that we work with each other, support each other. One bank might have more liquidity than the other that they need, and there's another one that doesn't have enough. So by working together, you then collaborate, and at the end of the day, you get benefits that then you push over to your regular customers.
Participation in the Trade Clear program is voluntary and based on the informed assessment and judgment of the participating financial institutions. Some of the banks that have joined the platform include Standard Chartered Bank, Stanbic Bank, Centenary Bank, ABSA, Housing Finance, ABC Capital, Finance Trust Bank, DFCU, and Exim Bank. FrontClear is a financial markets development finance company dedicated to stable and inclusive money markets. Sandra Kaude, UBC News. Well, that's all we had time for now. Thank you so much for your company. You make us proud every single time you choose the national broadcaster to inspire you. That's all we had time for today's particular updates, what transpired during the entire week, this 19th day of June 2022. Keep watching UBC. More interesting and educative programs are coming your way. The team behind the scene wishes you a beautiful day. More news updates will be coming your way later on in our subsequent news bulletins. My name is Sandra. Have a lovely day.